Well, we haven't had an educator leading our school system in quite some time in Chicago, and that's how these things begin to happen. The chair of the Board of Education, the appointed Board of Education, was appointed. What was the former vice chair of the Board of Education? Rahm promoted him to chair when he was elected. He's an investment banker, so he comes from banking, and that's who is heading up the school board at the present time. So the superintendent is someone who was brought in from the East Coast because of her experience in decimating public school systems also, and being the hatchet person. So they've figured out how to do things and continue to undercut and undermine public education, and then declare a crisis. And there was an effort on the part of the mayor to demonize the teachers union and to say that the reason that public education isn't what it needs to be is because of bad teachers, not addressing funding, not addressing class size, not addressing the terrible funding formula that we rely on in Chicago that is rooted in property taxes, a regressive form of taxation to fund our schools. And that's why we have a crisis each and every year related to education, related to healthcare, because in Illinois, we have a flat tax. It's a regressive form of taxation. We need to move toward a graduated, progressive state income tax in order to make it more sustainable. That will come several years henceforth once we take back the city and put in place an elected school board, because that will bring greater clarity. That will bring a focus on what's really good for public education, and what's good for public education is sustainable funding, so that there isn't a structural crisis each year where you're having to play education against healthcare, against mental health, and other vital services that any civilized and advanced society needs to have. So those are the issues that we're grappling in Chicago. Very disappointed that President Obama tapped Arnie Duncan just because of their familiarity, because they used to play basketball together at the University of Chicago. And now, these are some of the implications that we're living with. Our former school superintendent went down to New Orleans and wiped out the education system. All the schools in New Orleans now are charter schools. And then they took one of the operators of Chicago charter schools, the United Neighborhood Organization, UNO, and they run a series of schools in New Orleans, but there aren't any more neighborhood public schools in New Orleans.